and we lived in harmony in balance with nature. There's a lot of books about native spirituality written by non-Lakota speakers, and so they don't know what they're talking about. They can write about, comment about, but they can never get into the heart of the Lakota spiritual values. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding in the world of what and who we are and what we practice and how we live. And now it's time for you to understand us. The three definitions that I'm going to talk about defines what Lakota means primarily. When you say Lakota Oyate, that means the Lakota nations, peoples. When you say Lakota Makoche, it means Lakota lands. When you say Lakota Wogalakapi, that means the Lakota language. So these three define the meaning of Lakota. If you separate any meaning of the triangle of the land, the people, and language, if you lose one, you weaken the other two and eventually destroy the whole nation. Also, the two meanings are reduced to one. The Lakota Oyate and the Lakota Mankoche are both sacred, and that the sacredness comes from the sacred above, the great Wakantranka, the great Holy Spirit, and so it comes down to one meaning of who or what is Lakota when we consider who we are. The most important reason for why I'm here today is, of course, the Lakota Oyate and the Lakota Makoche, the two related reasons why I'm here, the peoples of the Lakota Nation and the lands of the Lakota Nation. They are related, and so we must restore especially the Black Hills. I have yet to speak directly on the Black Hills question. The Black Hills are written in black and white. According to the Constitution of the United States, the Treaty of 1868, the Treaty of 1851, they're all laws of the land according to the United States Constitution, in fact, supreme law of the land. The United States government cannot unilaterally change that fact, and we can't change that fact, but yet they have been doing that through obtaining fraudulent signatures and not even getting the required number of signatures. 3/4 of the adult males of the Lakota Nation must approve every land cession that has happened in the past. 3/4 have never signed it. It was a minority who signed it, and they took it back to Washington and said that that was a valid cession of lands. And so they've been taking land away from us illegally, according to international law. That 1868 treaty still stands at 3/4 signatures required for the United States to take any more land away from us. And every executive order, every congressional act since then has been illegal according to international law. The genocide law convention signed by the United States in 1947 and subsequent conventions that the United States is party to in the UN, they have transferred our people away from the reservation in large numbers, such as the relocation program of the 1950s, the Mormon removal of children from their parents to Utah. These are all measures that are against the UN conventions against the rights of indigenous people. We had been too thoroughly neutralized by other people's speaking and talking through the media, and so we were silent for many, many, many years. But now we can get to the world and let them know who we are, and through this way we can recover who we are for the young people, especially because they're in a state of complete chaos and confusion, as you can notice by reading newspapers and see how many are arrested for any number of social disorders, drug use, alcohol use, jobless, homeless. We have all sorts of problems that this nation has. And so much has happened that has been of UN concern now just coming to light. What is happening in Yugoslavia, Somalia, and other countries of the world that the United States is so concerned about, they neglect and oppress us right here in the United States. I can't understand why the politicians in Washington, for the most part white Europeans, can turn their backs on their own people in say the hills of Kentucky and Tennessee, and in the inner cities of the great big urban cities, where I've seen white people broke, white people hungry, homeless. When the monetary system creates a division where some people can't get food because there's not enough money, there is something wrong there. So the monetary system is in terrible shape. Even the Federal Reserve System, that's not Federal Reserve, it's a private reserve of private financiers. And so the base of the United States system of government is through the monetary system. It corrupts people. It corrupts senators and congressmen because the financiers, the background money men and women, control the Congress. Even in schools of economics like University of Chicago, London School of Economics, they can't agree on what money is. They say it stores value, but what kind of values, they don't speak. They don't know. I believe that it doesn't store value. What it does, it stores prices, commercial prices, and it doesn't store any human value at all. They value everything except the human being. That's the fault of the monetary system. And there's the thinking in Washington. They do not think in moral terms. There is a connection that they lost. They can completely operate without spiritual values. That has to change. They have to practice law and international law, United States law, as well as United Nations law, all the same. The Lakota people, when they were completely in charge, there was full employment where everyone worked, man, woman, and child. And through that, there was shelter and food for everyone. And so we had a great, prosperous way of life. In the circle of the Lakota people, the chief provided for the weakest part of the link, so that everyone ate, everyone had a home, and so that was the circle. But now there is no circle in the United States. There are people who are hungry and homeless, and our thinking in native spirituality is complete, is whole. Our great leaders of the past, such as Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse and Bigfoot, they were spiritual, deeply spiritual people. And so we are on the move. Our spiritual strength is coming back.